The specialists are back, and today Blake and I are recapping Deal or No Deal Island, episode number 4. Sorry we're a little late on this, but obviously we're going to be a little late because the Survivor cast for Survivor 48.
How dare you like Survivor more than Deal or No Deal Island? Deal or No Deal Island's been on for 30 years.
I was just so floored. I had taken where I had booked myself for Wednesday night double headers for the whole month of January, knowing that Survivor had moved past announcing the cast a month before. It was always now 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. And if they announced the cast when I thought, it would have been like, Blake, would you Deal or No Deal Island? We'll do the cast assessment later tonight. And instead it was like, hey, Will, we got to do this right at 1 o'clock. We started at about 1:12, and I showed up about 5 minutes before the basketball game I was working started yesterday. So the timing on that was bad, Survivor, if you guys could chill with that. And you made us miss Deal or No Deal Island. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see if anybody tunes in. Right now we have one lonely soul. It might just honestly be me logged in still on YouTube just with it up. But Blake, that means you can give all of your takes with a big old smile on your face, which is I know what you love doing. But episode number 4, this is
what an episode.
It was actually very entertaining, right? Entertaining. You were entertained. Were you entertained, Blake?
My favorite thing was, let's start off with a little pre-credit scene. These people are in love, and you're like, well, I haven't heard anything from either of those people yet, so one of those people's going
yeah. One of them is toast. I love that this did turn into Love Island for a second. They start off and they're talking about, oh, this person's hot, this, that, whatever. And then all of a sudden at the end, it's like, hey, like you got eliminated, but we're going to let her come over and make out with you. Like, great TV. Deal or No Deal Island has found its target audience.
Do I get a little something before you go? I was like, bro, I don't like that. Don't say that. Ew, gross.
Blake threw up in his mouth.
And that's a thing right now. Are you like, are they still together all this time? And you're like, I don't care. Like, yeah, hot people kiss each other all the time in bars. Like, why wouldn't they do it in the middle of? Does everybody know where this is, or is it bad if I say where it is? Because I know where it is. Everybody knows this, right?
I have no idea.
That's weird to me because like I know somebody that worked on the show, and they go to the same spot every year for both years now.
Let me see.
It's something where you're like, of course you're going to do that on an island in the middle of nowhere. I thought it was a very interesting episode.
Is it Panama?
There you go.
Okay, yeah. So it's very common knowledge then. Yeah.
Okay, so in Panama, you're going to kiss somebody that's hot. Like, ooh, is it going to throw off your whole strategy? And I think it was interesting of like, yes, it is going to. And we're the family is introduced of like, we've seen 3 parts of the family, but is MG the daughter of the family? Is she the neighbor of the family? How close is she to the family? We're introducing these names. We've got Dr. Will acting an absolute fool, but somehow he's by far smarter than everyone, even when he's acting like a total dumbass. We have a legendary Deal or No Deal thing that is almost impossible to do. I think the statistics on that, I never took stats in college, but somebody should do it. Almost impossible to do. If he was on any other version of Deal or No Deal, he would be a multi-million-dollar right now, but now it doesn't matter at all.
You watched Secession, right?
Secession? Yeah, of course.
Okay. This was the equivalent of Kieran Culkin ripping up the check in front of the kid that didn't kick a home run. Like, this was the equivalent of, you have $2.5 million and $5 million. You're either going to make a good deal or a bad deal, even though your bad deal would be for $3.75 million.
Yeah.
But after you make your either good or bad deal, you just go back to the shack and like you get your $10,000 of appearance fee. Like, what in the world? That was brutal, man. I totally agree with you. I mean, really good for Dixon. Awesome. He plays an impossible game of Deal or No Deal. This is my one problem with the format of Deal or No Deal, though. There has to be a catch-all or like a trigger of you hit a certain point and now you can no longer be eliminated. Like, how is he making a bad deal by making a $3.75 million deal? That's insane.
Or something to the fact of like, because this is an impossible thing. And Dixon, it's very interesting to me of like, are people going to, we got to get Dixon out because he's so good at playing? It's a luck game.
Yeah.
It's not going to transfer to the next thing. He did a 1 in 12 shot, but then goes through all the deals too, so that messes up the stats or whatever. But like he just picked a number because he likes the St. Louis Cardinals and says every single St. Louis Cardinals that ever was in the Hall of Fame when he's picking cases. And I think there is a thing in my mind where I'm like, you can go back to back to back to back in the dealer thing, but like it almost feels like, how is Dixon not like, you got yourself in the finale because you got a case worth over $3 million. Like that should be a thing. And once again, I'm watching this show. I'm not a casual. I'm watching this casually. I'm not a casual though. I'm watching the show. We're watching a challenge. I don't really understand how the challenge works all the way through. We're watching this Deal or No Deal. It's the most impossible thing. Like watching this with somebody over 55 and trying to get them to explain it the next day, it is just feels like we're just doing random shit because we had a volunteer. What did he get for the volunteer? He got to go first. Going first is actually bad. If anybody in the cast had any kind of cojones, like the whole cast can go, Dr. Will threw first and hit his target. Let's try to get a better thing than Dr. Will. If we all don't, let's all just go throw a second axe. Who cares? If we do beat Will, he's screwed, and then we'll take all the cases. And I don't get, if we are against all of Dr. Will, this was the perfect one to beat him up. And they were like, oh, you got to go first. It sucks how advantage that was. I was like, is anybody good at playing games?
The biggest problem was they were just concerned about Dr. Will coming back at them later, right? CK is ready to go throw at his, and he's like, no, if you don't do that, I'll make sure you're safe because I'm going to be the guy right now. So we'll talk about the challenge in a second because I think the challenge was actually
we're going to be like, cool, are we going to let Dr. Will boss us around like he bossed everyone around?
Yeah.
Or are we gonna all go after him?
They're absolutely going to let him boss them around.
And then I can't root for anybody besides Dr. Will for the rest of the season because he literally just owned you in week 4 so bad.
You're supposed to only root for Parvati, David, and Dr. Will. Like, let's be real. That's who you're supposed to root for. You're not supposed to root for anybody else. So, yeah, going back, one change I would like to see Deal or No Deal Island make in season 3, because they're going to have a season 3. People are watching this. I would like to see them put in if you hit this certain amount in a deal, you're safe. And that be something. Maybe for the first couple episodes, it can be, if your deal is over $2.5 million, or if your deal is over $2 million, you're safe. Because I don't feel like Dixon should have ever had an opportunity to go home in this episode. He played the best Deal or No Deal game in the history of Deal or No Deal. And they were about to be like, well, you made a bad deal. I think that's too 50-50. I think there should be some sort of reward for hitting a certain number, a certain threshold, that then you get to pick somebody else to go home. Or maybe you don't get to pick it at that point. Maybe the Dr. Will gets to pick it because you were safe, but
you're in the middle ground,
made a bad deal. So now the person who was in power to put you up gets to make the decision on who goes home. I think that would be an easy way to fix this problem, because really at this point, you're always looking at a 50-50 chance in Deal or No Deal. And if you get up to 75 or something, it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep playing the percentages. There's never a benefit to having the highest cases. Like, his game was worse than Rock's game, because in Rock's game, he had a 66.7% or 75% chance.
It's actually, you're screwing yourself if you leave the big numbers in.
Yeah, you want to leave the low numbers. The lower the numbers, the better your chances are of surviving the situation. So I feel like that's something I would like to see. I also like Furret here, who says sexy model strategy proven to be the best way to beat the banker.
Yeah,
he knew all of the models' names. Was he just like on like Google being like, all right, Deal or No Deal Island model or Deal or No Deal model names? Because he knew all of their names and what their numbers were. I was like, dude, go outside, Dixon. Like, what are we doing?
Dixon, incredible. Dixon, incredible. He is literally. It was crazy watching him.
Did you just say Dick's incredible on this podcast?
Like, Dixon is incredible. I mean, it all
R-rated. Thank you.
One thing I want to say, whenever it was time, we're bouncing around. Who cares
That's
about?
Fine. And we'll get back to the challenge, but whatever you want.
Whenever he was like, it's time to eliminate, and Dixon goes, I didn't come here to lose. I didn't come here to get second place. I came here to absolutely win. I'm gonna get out gamers. Storm, who has done absolutely nothing, you're out. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's like I didn't come here to ride coattails or anything, but also I'm not going to mess with Parvati and David because they're my mom and dad. I'm not going to mess with Dr. Will because I can't. Who's the least threatening? Storm, you. Maybe it's a way of him trying to, loosen up and make it so that MG doesn't have somebody that she can just work with.
There's literally nothing behind that. Yeah.
When Storm was picked, I literally was like, wait, did they accidentally show the ending of episode 5? Like, is that what happened? It made no sense that Storm
is probably the person clapping the hardest the whole time, being like, Dixon, you're the smartest person here. That's how we do this. And I just can't imagine this working out for Dixon. Like, there's no way he gets top 5 after this. That's brutal. And once again, you're like, who am I rooting for? And you're like, well, we know you're rooting for 3 people, but like, David had a confessional this time where he's like, I literally don't care if Dixon lives or dies. He's just a pawn for me. And I was like, okay, I've seen Parvati say, I'm going to spit out their bones and use them to pick my teeth or whatever.
That was Natalie. Come on.
No, I've seen Parvati do. Oh, okay. But Parvati had the same thing on all
her. That was the Natalie quote that you were going with right there.
Okay, well, they're so different or whatever. You said floss. I said pick. And then I've seen Dr. Will be like the most despicable person, but I have not seen David's anything. So him going so ruthlessly, like, no, I'm in a great spot with Dixon. Whether he wins and sticks around, great. If he loses, that's another person gone. I was like, that is literally so brutal. Why are you being so mean to poor Dixon? But then I think it's so funny that unless Dixon plays a perfect game, he loses and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And now he plays a perfect game, which is almost impossible, and still nobody cares because nobody gets that $5 million. It's just a case in the end, right?
Yeah. I think they added to the case. I forget how the finale worked.
But you could pick that grand prize case first and immediately lose all the money.
Well, no, they put the numbers way higher. You'll see how it works out. I mean, they might make tweaks to it, but Jordan was going to walk out of there with a good chunk of change last year.
Okay. Once again, we will watch season 1 after season 2.
Yeah, that's how Blake is. I mean, I watched all of season 1. I didn't watch the finale. I read about it. But
it was so thrilling.
Alone, I didn't even do it. But anyway, I want to talk about well, first of all, David. It's funny you bring him up. So I'm so in the thralls of David here because in the throes of David. What am I talking about? I'm watching Australian Survivor All Stars right now, which is like the David show. He gets like 15 confessionals an episode. And so I've just been watching nonstop David. So I was finally like, oh, there's the David that we're doing. And I've been doing that for the patrons, patreon.com/thespecialist. Make sure you get that in there. In case you guys want to listen to us talk about Australian Survivor. And by us, I mean me. But so I was expecting that from David. What makes me laugh, though, going back to the decision, because I took notes, I wrote this down so that we would know. The perceived threat ranking. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. The perceived threat ranking was something that they did with this challenge. Number 1 was Dr. Will. Number 2 was Parv. Number 3 was David. So maybe people are catching on that David was on another show. Maybe they've been told in a way that we don't know. Maybe it has been revealed that he was on Australian Survivor. 4 was Philip. 5 was Lette. 6 was CK. 7 was Storm. 8 was Dixon. 9 was MG. 10 was Lachelle, and then 11 was Seychelle. My favorite part about that Dixon, memorized? I wrote it down. My favorite part about Dixon picking Storm and being like, I got to get rid of a threat is he was ranked 7.
Like literally in the ranking challenge.
7. He was not like, you can't even argue, oh, I thought Storm was being perceived as a threat. No, you absolutely did not. You knew he wasn't a threat. He was picked 7. I think that the mother and father got in his ear and said, if you lose, you got to pick Storm because we need to separate Storm from MG. Don't tell Dr. Will. Don't just let Dr. Will boss you around. And that's the one thing I will say. Parvati and David aren't just going to be bossed around by Dr. Will. Dr. Will is like really playing it up for the cameras, which is going to get him more screen time and whatever. But Parvati and David are going to just
volunteering for Magic Mike 4.
Yeah, like you like this guy a lot.
He's amazing. It is one of those things where you're like, okay, I liked him 20 years ago, and then I liked him, then I liked him 16 years ago. But yeah, he's great. It's just as eye rolly for me, but like it's like when your cousin is making these jokes, you're like, well, I'm related to him, and if he wins, I'll probably go to his like bar mitzvah or whatever. But like, I'm not gonna go to Dr. Will's winning prize thing, but I will forever once again be like, Dr. Will is one of my legends. And when he went to Deal or No Deal Island, he got sixth place and was taken out for being a huge threat instead of like my idol Bob the Drag Queen went home first for the trainers. I love Bob the Drag Queen though, but like that's just the
Yeah.
latest one that we have a thing for.
So let's talk about this challenge then, because the challenges on this season are significantly better than they were season one. And season ones were pretty good.
Really?
Season
Oh,
one
yeah.
was still better than the traders, but season two has now really improved. And what I want to talk about this, what I liked about it is, look, the axe throwing is the axe throwing. That's not really like the fun part of the game. That's oh wow, it's an axe sighting episode of Deal or No Deal Island. And like the intern who's tweeting that is so stoked. And like we've been whoever's running the social media campaign is got to take a night off, man. You're just like nonstop. But look, axe sighting episode, great, works for me. But what I like about this is you're not just rewarding people for picking the top people or getting the highest case. You're also rewarding people for figuring out who's going to be the least likely or who's the least threatening. And I thought that was a cool twist because last season, a lot of it was 2 or 3 people. They would pair off a lot. And it would just be like 2 or 3 people are safe. Everybody else is up for elimination. Or 2 or 3 people are safe. 2 or 3 people can be chosen to go and play Deal or No Deal. Everybody else is up to be eliminated. And I like that this one was, you're not pairing off. You're not doing anything like that. You're just playing this game. And if you're the highest, if you figure out who the highest is, you're safe. And if you figure out who the lowest is, you're safe. So you were rewarding people for not just knowing that Dr. Will and Parvati were the perceived threats, which I have to think that the figuring out who the lower end is, you would have to think they put that in this game because they knew that Parvati and Dr. Will were going to be the top 2 choices here. But I thought that was pretty good. Dr. Will gets himself, Parvati gets herself, MG gets Lachelle, and then Seychelle gets herself. So MG was the only one who didn't get her own person to be safe. Lachelle and MG was only ranked 1 person higher than Lachelle. So, who knows? But I thought that was a good little twist on this game, that for figuring out who the lowest case values were, essentially, you were also going to be safe. You just didn't have power. And I think those are the types of things that need to be in there, because when you're throwing an axe and you're saying, I'm going for Lachelle because I don't think anybody likes her, that's going to cause drama, which is what the show wants. Being like, I'm going for Dr. Will because he's the strongest. That's not necessarily going to cause drama. Although when CK did it, it caused a little because Dr. Will had already thrown.
I think the other thing that blew my mind of like me rolling my eyes or being like, okay, I don't respect your layer of gameplay anymore. When Philip goes for Seychelle, yes, I'm saying the right word. Philip going after Seychelle. Then Seychelle's like, well, I'm going to go after myself. And Philip feels a type of way of he's getting, it's like, you're number 4. You are the first quote unquote civilian who is the most threatening. Like, you got to play better, bro. Like, I can just partner up with Parvati every single time and be fine. It is starting to already falter on number 4. And it is weird to me of like, whenever I'm playing a reality TV game in my mind and I'm on the beach in Panama, it's like, you got to be able to go with the flow. And like, Philip, this is the first time something goes a little wrong for you. And, you're gonna be in a chance where you could be put up for the banker or eliminated if Dixon was paying attention. And it's like, you can't let that be shown on your face, or like, oh, Philip's going to hold a grudge, so you got to get him out right now. Like, Seychelle probably will get some heat later from Philip, but Seychelle should have done her best to be like, I guess we got to get Philip out because he really reacted pretty strongly there.
Yeah, I know.
It blew my mind how bad Philip played all that.
I don't know if Philip's going to be able to survive this all the way through, because I do feel like if somebody wins Deal or No Deal, he's a person that they're going to start looking at. He is definitely someone that they're going to be like, hey, we should get rid of Philip here, because Philip is starting to, like you said, he's really establishing himself as the top dog, as one of the civilians. The person behind him was Lete. No way is she even remotely close to Philip in terms of that hierarchy. Like, here's your top 4, next tier, please. Here's your number 5. Like, there's a big gap between all of those. So yeah, he's got to play better. He's got to figure it out. But I also thought what probably didn't work for this challenge is that there weren't a lot of people who were aiming at the same target as others, which is definitely what the show wanted. Because then if you got through the first round, then in the second round, it was like, okay, here's your target. You got to land it now. And so I think for round 1, they probably wanted more people to go after each other's, like, go after Dr. Will, go after Parvati, because at the end of the day, anybody could be eligible to be eliminated. So it wasn't like if you were the lowest case, that was the only way you went home. So I don't know. I feel like they probably didn't get exactly what they wanted from this, but to me, it still worked for the most part.
I thought it was incredible too that like every single one of those 11 people or 12 people, 12, 11, were threw an axe and hit within 2 tries. Like,
now, do you think that was real, or do you think that was edited?
I mean, they were telling us that if Dixon misses this, he's automatically going up for the thing, or Storm misses this, he's automatically up because everyone else hit. Like, in my mind, I'm like, if I want to have some power, like, okay, I'm gonna miss on purpose, and like if I can eliminate someone, like everyone had so many opportunities to really establish some strategy. And I know it's only season 2, and there's not like, did you watch what Boston Rob did last season? But like, there's so many opportunities for somebody to go, okay, cool. I'm going to go after Dr. Will to eliminate him. I'm going to get it closer because his axe was not in the middle.
No.
And then also, okay, well, I'm just going to throw this axe literally into the sand and be like, I'm going to put myself up for elimination. Like, I think it's so funny because this is the canon of the show, and I roll my eyes about it. But like, just like I roll my eyes about Dr. Will, maybe I'm getting into the Deal or No Deal. Like, the banker wants to be impressed, and the banker likes big thinkers. And like, if they say that enough, that's almost a clue to this of like, take over the power when you have the opportunity to, or you're just going to be Storm, like, and go home. And like, I don't think Storm had a thought in his brain about going home tonight when he woke up that morning. And it is kind of like out of nowhere, but ultimately, like, did Storm play a good enough game to stick around? Not even close.
Yeah.
But so did 5 other people. Like, I think the only gamer who made a decision, whether they're on their radar or not, it didn't really seem like too many people were mad at her, was Seychelle. And it's only just Philip being like,
I don't feel like, well, and when you see Seychelle is ranked at the bottom, I think that's why nobody's really worried. I don't think anybody's taking Seychelle seriously, which is why I don't think that they're mad at her or happy with her or anything with her. I think that they're just like indifferent towards Seychelle because they don't really see Seychelle as somebody. Last season, there was a big challenge at the end of the season. And you had to like not finish last in it. And if they're all assuming if that happens again, Seychelle is going to be the person. And I think they all know that if Seychelle's not playing, almost everybody in there would be willing to say, okay, we're going to get rid of Seychelle because she's not really close with anybody. So I think that's probably why she's getting away with a little bit more right
now. Okay. 10 people left.
10 people left.
Who are you?
Here, you want to throw this up real quick for it? I found it weird that you couldn't steal a case from someone in the second round.
Oh my God, for it. Get on the freaking Panama Beach, please.
Isn't that so true though? Like, why weren't they throwing an axe where it's like, okay, now
you have yours guaranteed already, but you could go after someone else.
And if you hit the highest of the remaining, you get to steal one case from a first round person. Like, why wasn't that there?
Or there should have been a banker target. And it's like, if you don't want to play in this game, if you get close enough to the banker target, blank happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's always like a red case or a banker case.
Yeah.
Like, but I think that was something last week. I was like, everyone's just going to go for the banker case every time because that's what Parvati and Philip did and they won, right?
Yeah. And that's what they were supposed to do in episode 1, but Luke screwed that
Parvati
up.
and Philip is episode 2. I'm already screwing it up.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, yeah, no, I mean, the point remains, but yeah, I mean, I feel like there should have been some way you could steal, even if you can't steal necessarily from the highest, but maybe you can steal from who do you think is the lowest person? You get to steal like the lowest because that person was going to be in danger. I guess whoever has the lowest isn't in
Okay.
danger, but maybe you could do that. I don't know,
I'm
just something.
I'm so confused. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay, so we're gonna end the finale with 3 people left,
We're not going to end the finale with 3 people left. We're going to
or
end the finale
but
with
let's
one
start the
winner. But
finale with
yes,
3 people left.
starting it with 3 is about right. We
10,
started
9,
with
8,
4 last season.
6, 5, 4. Okay, I just did the math a little bit wrong, but like, there's 10 people left, so we're a third of the way through the season.
Mhm.
Does that feel right?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you most looking forward to in the middle third? Like what is on the horizon where you're gonna be like, Blake, this is about to be the best episode yet, and I'm just not aware because I don't know this show.
No, and there is nothing. I mean,
Is
really,
there
it
a
comes.
merge or something?
No, it
Like
just
just
comes
like we
down
get
to the
excited for that?
shenanigans. It just comes down to the shenanigans. The show has the same ending every time. It just comes down to the shenanigans. I remember one episode last season, me and Will were like, you got to change up the format. And then one episode last season didn't have Deal or No Deal at the end. And we're like, why the hell would they change up the format? Like, you need to have Deal or No Deal in the show. So the format kind of stays the same. It just comes down to the shenanigans between the players. And, what am I looking forward to? Parvati, David, and Dr. Will. I do like Philip. I think there's some game there. MG lost her guy, but I don't know. Maybe that'll make MG wake up. Like, I feel like the players will do enough. Like, I'm into the players enough. You're never going to connect with these players. You almost have to look at this as fans versus favorites, right? Who's your favorite? I'm sorry. Who's your favorite fan from Fans versus Favorites 2?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Reynold Topher or something.
That's it, right? Or Eddie. Like, that's it. So, like, you almost have to look at it from that perspective of the others are always going to overshadow, but from the standpoint of the players who are also playing, they are much stronger than last season. I was telling you last season, it was Aaron and it was the girl whose name I now can't remember. Alyssa. Aaron and Alyssa. Those were like the only two and Amy was a little bit. This season, though, you have Seychelle, you have CK, you have Philip. You have MG and Storm with their showmance, which Deal or No Deal Island had to be stoked about. Like, I feel like the players are bringing it a little bit more this season, but you can only bring it so much, right? Like, it's almost like you don't know if you're trying to score a touchdown. So are you really going to, try to plow through 10 defenders? No, you're not.
No,
like,
you got to kick a field goal, bro. We can win this with 3s. I think the other thing that we would be mentioning if this was Survivor, so we got to do it for Deal or No Deal Island. 3 of the first 4 people out are dudes. So
wow.
Is there another Black
maybe
Widow
this
thing?
is the Survivor fan show. Like, the Twitter Survivor fans should be watching Deal or No Deal Island.
Yeah.
They hate dudes.
It's a women's world, bro.
That version of the community certainly is.
And when the girls, okay, so Luke lost on a bad deal, Rock lost on a bad deal, so we can get some like men are just too pompous and greedy and play Deal or No Deal wrong. But when women had control to eliminate somebody, they voted out a woman. And when a man had control to vote somebody out, they voted out a man. So look at these gender dynamics after 2 seasons of whatchamacallit. It is interesting where Dixon is like, I have to take a shot at somebody, and voted for somebody to go that had done legitimately nothing. And they have no color on their name on Wikipedia. They have no powers. They don't even have a secret idol that they had to flush. It's just he's a hot guy who is 5'8". Is he 6 foot? I don't know. He looks 5'8".
It is interesting that's how that went down, because again, like the editors didn't present a story for us for it to be Storm who was going home. They didn't. There was no story.
It literally was LaShelle being like, you're gonna walk into your dome after kissing somebody and expect us not to pay any attention. And then Dr. Will's like, over my shoulder, look at those guys making out. And it's like, but Dr. Will wants CK gone. And honestly, I think this is Dr. Will's first challenge win in the history of him playing games. But let me not bury the lead here. But like, he never wins anything. So for him to like immediately throw one axe and go unopposed, this feels more like it wasn't an athletic challenge that he won. It was a nobody wants to challenge me, and it's a social thing except for CK. CK fails. I'm gonna target CK. CK's going. Just kidding. It's now Storm.
Yeah. I know. I wonder what the fallout will be with Dr. Will, because I wonder if he's playing something up for TV that he's talking about differently to everybody else. Like, is he going to be okay with the fact that it's CK who didn't go home, or is he like actually really mad about it?
I think what's very cool about Dr. Will as well is both of his shows were live. I
Mm,
was not on my computer where I could watch the second season
that's a good point.
of every single thought Dr. Will had. But by the time Big Brother All Stars came around, I do think I had internet and could like pay attention to Survivor Sucks of here's Will's real thought process. I don't know if we're gonna get his unfiltered thought process on this show,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it cannot be understated of Dr. Will is the most I'm going to look as I'm putting dams and roadblocks for all of you guys, but for me I'm probably just as go with the flow as Sandra because he lost all of his main allies in his first season immediately and still made it to the end and won. So it's like not it is he has never done worse than fourth place and he's insulted people way more than he has so far. And it's like what are you going to do, Lachelle? You're going to win a challenge and send Dr. Will home? Like hurry up.
Yeah.
CK, you have maybe one more chance to do that before now it's like, well, we're going to keep Dr. Will as a shield and now you're toast.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Dr. Will, maybe the first chance they get to take him out, they will. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like, it depends on who the person is. Like, Dixon's not going to. Parvati's not going to, I don't think. I don't think David will. So it'll be interesting to see who wants to take him out. I will say it was funny to watch the reactions of the people on the bench. People going absolutely crazy when Dixon did whatever, and Dr. Will was just sitting there with his arms crossed and like didn't even like get excited. I thought that was interesting. I thought it
Like
was
you're watching
not even pretending to play it.
honestly, I don't think I keep saying the word understate, so we got to say something else. I don't think we can glaze over Dixon played I don't think we can glaze over Dixon. Um Dixon played literally the best deal or no deal game of all time.
In the
Like
history of Deal or No Deal.
it is impossible to do better than him. Like the only way you could do better is it's a 20 yes, this is a 12 case format or 14. 12 or 14 case format. So maybe if there's 20 cases and you nailed it exactly and wrote it out, you could be better than Dixon. But Dixon played better than probably 100% of Deal or No Deal contestants ever. And you're yawning, Phil. You're literally
No, dude, my back. I say this all the time because that was a bad yawn. My back gets so bad when I sit hunched like this. So I keep trying to move. And it's like I'm not getting oxygen, man. I'm not yawning at you. I'm not tired. I'm listening.
Oh, your body needs more oxygen.
Dude,
So
it's so bad. It's up here, man. It's so messed up. And when the muscle gets too tight from sitting like this, I like can't help but take deep breaths like that. So it's not you, it's me. I apologize. But
so are
all
you
right.
good at throwing axes, Phil?
That was an actual yawn, though. No, I've never actually attempted to throw an axe. I've never done the axe throwing thing. I know that's like supposedly fun, but I've never done it.
Looks like you wouldn't have been safe last night. You would have been up for elimination. It is funny you saying like, "Oh, there's better challenges this season," because it feels like the target game had so much stuff that could have happened and it didn't. Where that feels like not a flop, but like, oh, well, hopefully they redo that for season 3. And honestly, I think they're gonna get a season 3 out of this. Of like, people are
For
gonna
sure.
watch Parvati and Dr. Will for another month,
Yeah,
and
I think
then
they're for sure going to get a season 3. They just have to get the right castaways. You know, they have to get the right people. That's all.
and part of me is like, why are we not doing this with all like just do the traders over again? I know
I
I'm
think
a
that's what they're trying to differentiate, though, is they don't want to do what the traders is doing. Also, you have to think with NBC,
right.
the money's not there as much with the traders. Like the traders on
Isn't
Peacock. I think there's
Peacock
more
and
money there with
NBC
Peacock.
the same thing, or it's a whole different
Yeah,
thing?
but there's more money with Peacock, I think, at this point than there is with NBC. So they're more willing to put production value and money into a
This
show like The
it
Traders.
should be
Not,
when you get eliminated from traders, the first 12 people have to go play dealer.
yeah, that's the punishment. If you're eliminated one of the first 12, you have to go play Deal or No
No,
Deal. I
why?
don't want to.
What do you think of our two models, by the way?
They're
Can
doing
you
great.
name either one of them?
Ben and I forget the other one.
Charmaine or something?
I forget what her name is. Yeah, I mean they were there last year too.
She's like, what about me? I'm a hot model, right, Dixon?
Dixon's over there like, yeah, trust me, I know like your age, your number, your address. Like, it's just crazy, man. He knew everything about every other model. My God.
That was so funny. Lachelle being like, that girl wasn't very lucky last year. Why do you want to emulate her? I was like, it does not affect the number in the case at all.
They are randomly throwing dollar amounts into the cases, guys. That's it. I know. I wonder how long
being the person
I do wonder how long the shtick of pretending that there's reason in randomness will last before people say, okay, that's enough of this. Because right now I'm in for the ride, even though I yawned at Blake before because my back hurts really bad. I am in for the ride. But I don't know.
I'm gonna watch episode 5 and see you guys next week. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you like Clockwork Orange in the chair with your eyes taped open. You don't have a choice. You are in.
The only thing I'm disappointed about with our big 3, Parvati seems pretty sour that Dr. Will's taken some like time away from her, or like how is Parvati? I know I'm not supposed to be like, Parvati, just go into all of Dr. Will's delusions, but she's rolling her eyes hard. She's not playing the game. Like Parvati being the second place in thing, she didn't even have a good confessional about like,
no, she didn't do much.
I should probably keep Dr. Will around then, because if he's gone, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Maybe I need 90-minute episode.
Like how much more time was there really for her to do anything?
Yeah. I need an hour and a half long episodes of Deal or No Deal.
No, we don't. No, we don't. That first episode being 2 hours was like, when I opened that up on Wednesday morning for the premiere, I was like, what the fuck? I don't want this. What is happening? So anyway, we've covered this episode. That's good. Well done. Go team. Will and I will be back later tonight recapping The Traitors. That'll be at about 10 o'clock Eastern. They always drop. They say the episodes don't come on until 9, and then they drop them at like 8:37 every week. And it's like, why not just like, why are we doing this? But so we'll be back recapping that. If you haven't checked out our cast assessment for Survivor 48, Will and I did that yesterday. We have our whole preseason plan. They let us do it easy this year. We're going to be doing the prop bet next Wednesday. So tune in for that one. Wednesday night, and then we'll be doing the over-under game again, and then Blake gets to come in and do the fantasy game where you can give a freezing cold take about the eventual winner of the season, just like he did with Rachel. So we'll be able to do that. If you want to become a patron, patreon.com/thespecialist, covering everything over there, and there's going to be even more stuff going on once the next season starts. So we got Australian Survivor that I'm going through. McKenna and I are doing our Australian Survivor cast assessment on Monday night. So we're going to dive into that, finally doing Australian Survivor on the channel. So thank you all so much for listening. I hope you all enjoyed this and like this video, subscribe to the channel. Blake needs those likes. He goes through and reads every comment and will text me at like 3 a.m. being like, dude, can you believe what this person said? So make sure you give us nice, positive feedback. Make sure you like the video, and we will see you all next time.
Toodaloo.